Members, come to the chamber. Members, please come to the chamber so we can start on time.
The House will come to order. Members, our prayer today will be given by Adam Brewer. He is the lead pastor at Glory Fellowship Baptist Church in Jasper, and he is the guest of Representative Woods.
Thank you. I just want to say to you all, I know you have a full day and a full week ahead of you. We appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you do. And in Jasper, we are praying for you as our leaders and representatives, and just want to say thanks. Matt told me I had just a moment to share just a challenge to you. Any Alabama basketball fans in the room? Roll Tide. My family and I had the opportunity to go to the Final Four, and we drove it. And yes, it was awesome and horrible all at the same time. And when we got to Flagstaff, it was snowing. And so, long story short, we're coming down from Flagstaff to Phoenix at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. All I can see is 50 feet in front of me as far as my headlights are. I am miserable. I'm tired. 2 days later, after the Final Four game, we go back to Flagstaff to go to the Grand Canyon. And the sun was shining brilliantly. And I looked at my wife and I said, I had no clue what I was missing because we were driving in the darkness. Jesus Christ is the light. And I want you to operate, and I want you to lead, and I want you to represent out of that light, because He will open up a world of beauty and glory as you discuss these things and as you live your life that will drive out the darkness so that you can see what He's doing in you and through you and for you. Let's pray. God, we are grateful for today. I thank you for these in this room, the roles that they have, the responsibilities that they have. God, I pray that today, as they discuss and as they meet and as they vote and do all that they do, that you would remind them of the incredible responsibility that you've put on them, that you've given them to represent our state. And I pray, God, that they would do it well. God, I pray that they would not see someone as an opponent or as an enemy, but even in their discussions, whether they agree or disagree, that they would see the people that they're interacting with as image bearers. God, we thank you for government. We thank you, God, for the role that it plays. And I pray, God, that you would be honored and glorified in each person in here. Bless these folks. Give them clarity. Give them endurance. Give them all that they need for the task that's ahead this week. Amen.
Amen. Members, today Pledge of Allegiance will be led by James Chapman. He is a fifth grader attending Shades Mountain Elementary School in Hoover. He is the grandson of former Secretary of State Beth Chapman and is a guest of Representative Halsey.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Speaker, Allman, Baker, Bedsole, Blackshear, Bolton, Boyd, Bracy, Brinyark, Brown, Butler, Carnes, Chestnut, Clark, Klaus, Collins, Colvin, Crawford, Daniels, Drummond, Dubose, Easterbrook, Ellis, England, Ensler, Estes, Faulkner, Fiddler, Fincher, Fort, Garrett, Gidley, Gavan, Gibbons, Gray, Hall, Hammett, Harbison, Harrison, Hassel, Hendricks, Hill, Hulk, Jones, Hollis, Hulsey, Hurst, Ingram, Jackson, Jones, Keel, Kirkland, Lamb, Lands, Lawrence, Lee, Lipscomb, Lomax, Lovern, Marcus, McCampbell, McClammy, Mooney, Moore M, Moore P, Morris, Oliver, Paramore, Pascal, Pettis, Pringle, Rafferty, Ream, Reynolds, Rigsby, Robbins, Robertson, Sellers, Sells, Shaver, Shaw, Shedd, Shiree, Simpson, Smith, Sorrell, Stouthagen, Sandridge, Starn, Stringer, Stubbs, Tillman, Travis, Treadaway, Underwood, Wadsworth, Warren, Whit, Wharton, Wilcox, Wood D, Wood R, Woods, Yarborough.
72 members have answered roll. Quorum is present, and the House is ready to transact business. Representative Brace, you are recognized for a special recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that floor privileges be granted to the following members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated: Director Mabry, Brother Gregory Scott, Brother Wesley Thompson, and Brother Wendell Saxon for the purpose of a special recognition.
Are there objections? Hearing no objection, floor privilege is granted. Representative Brace, you're further recognized.
Thank you so much. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is the oldest African-American fraternity, the oldest and the coldest. We started in Ithaca, New York in 1906, and we want to celebrate and continue to celebrate Alpha Phi Alpha Day on the Capitol. We've been doing this for a number of years now, and we're thankful for the opportunity to continue to do this. At this point, I have a resolution. Ask the clerk to please read the resolution.
Clerk, read the resolution.
Whereas Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first intercollegiate Greek letter fraternity established for African Americans, was founded at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York on December 4th, 1906 by Henry Arthur Callis, Charles Henry Chapman, Eugene Kinkle Jones, George Biddle Kelly, Nathaniel Allison Murray, Robert Harold Ogley, and Vertner Woodson Tandy. Known as the Jewels, these men recognized the need for a strong bond of brotherhood among African descendants in this country. And whereas Alpha Pi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated for 117 years has been a beacon of light to the community by staying true to its aims of manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind. And whereas Alpha Pi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has produced over 200,000 members since its founding in 1906, and currently there are over 80,000 college-educated living members that were inducted into 706 college and alumni chapters in the United States, Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean. And whereas Alpha Pi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated programs of civic outreach initiatives, accumulating over 850,000 hours of community service, producing $2.3 million in scholarships, and registering thousands of American citizens to participate in the voting process. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the Legislature of Alabama that the members of this body commend Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and the Alabama District chapters for their outstanding contributions to this nation and to the state of Alabama, and recognize April 30th, 2024 as Alpha Phi Alpha Day at the Alabama State Capitol. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the House is authorized and directed to make appropriate copies of this resolution available for distribution to the Alabama District Director and the Chairperson of the Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Representative Brace, you're further recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, Mr. Speaker, I'd like for us to please grant Director Mabry an opportunity just to give us a brief greeting.
That is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. On the behalf of the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and the Brothers of Alphabama, we would like to thank you for giving us this day to come and engage with you on all policies. And we would like to thank all the individuals that took their time to come and share the day with us and have good conversation. So thank you again from Brother Mayberry from the District of Alabama.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good having you with us today. Representative Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I also like to acknowledge that Representative Chris England is also a member of the fraternity. I don't think he's here at the moment, but thank you so much on behalf of Alpha Phi Alpha. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us today. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you, guys.
Let's take a picture right here.
Representative Sellers, you're recognized for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. I rose this morning. We have, I know Representative Warren is headed to the hospital. Also want to lift up Representative Tillman and his wife. They put her mother on hospice. And I didn't see Mark to get another.
Representative Ream and Jackson.
Representative Ream and also.
Good having him back.
And who else?
It's good having Representative Ream back,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And just wanted to offer a prayer on today on their behalf. God, we thank you for this chamber that you allow us to reside. But God, we thank you for your people that love you and have your heart. God, we ask, oh God, for those names of loved ones that have been called out today, that you would touch their hearts and touch their minds and their bodies. Lord, we ask that you comfort even those that are bereaving or those that are dealing with sickness. But God, we thank you even for those that have overcome and are here with us today. Now, Lord, bless us on this day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We have some special guests in the gallery we'd like to recognize. Brantley Cannon, Demopolis Middle School, Sally Nettles, Madeline Maroney, Martha Smith, Bella Anderson are the guests of Representative McCampbell and Representative Woods. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you for being with us today. Representative McCampbell, you're recognized for a moment of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, today we signed an AI bill. The governor signed the bill today, and the young ladies that are the brave young ladies from my area of this state that had their privacy violated, and as a member of this body and as a state, we took a measure and took a step today that would make sure the people in this state realize you will not be messing up the future of our young people. So I want to applaud them for their courage in coming forward and their stick-to-itiveness, because they stuck with it and said, we want to go all the way. So I want to applaud you all. And now I'm going to ask Matt if he'll have a word to say, because he was the one that asked me if he could carry it on behalf of the people from my district. And I had some other fish to fry, so he did a good job for me.
Representative Woods, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative McCampbell. And it was an honor to sponsor this piece of legislation. I want to thank these brave young ladies who endured such a terrible, terrible event in their young lives, but had the courage, as Representative McCampbell mentioned, to bring forth this issue. And today we got to bear witness to the Alabama Child Protection Act, HB 168, being signed into law, giving us the strongest child sexual abuse material law in the country. And that is a credit to this body who passed that bill unanimously, as well as the Senate. I think it says a lot about our state, what we're trying to accomplish to protect our young people from those who would exploit them. So ladies and your mothers who are here today, we thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage in bringing this issue forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sure, thanks, the gentleman. Also, we have with us Leanne Cameron from Madison, Alabama, a guest of Parker Moore. Thank you for being with us today. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that leaves of absence be granted for absent members.
Any objections? Hearing no objection, absent members are excused. The chair further recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I have a report.
House of Representatives, your Standing Committee on Rules begs leave to report that it has carefully examined the Journal of the House for the 25th legislative day and finds the same to be correct. Signed, Representative Joe Lovern, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the reading of the journal at length for the 25th legislative day be dispensed with.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, reading the journal is dispensed with. Chairman Lovern.
Mr. Speaker, I move that floor privileges be granted to Dixie Thomas of the Department of Examiner of Public Accounts during the consideration of the sunset bills today.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, the floor privilege are granted. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle, for purpose of making announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the Made in Alabama, Export Alabama reception will be held tonight from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Alabama Department of Archives. I think that's important information for you to know later on this evening. Food will be close by. Your statement of economic interest forms are due today. And very late, I was given this. The Mowad Band of Choctaw Indians is having a reception tonight at 434 McDonough Street, beginning from 5 to 7 today. That, Mr. Speaker, I move that when we adjourn today, we leave the journal open for the clerk to complete his paperwork, and we reconvene on Thursday, May 2nd at 9 a.m.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. The motion prevails. Representative Jones, you're recognized for a moment of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm here to announce the passing of a former member of this body, Major General J. Gary Cooper, who's a Marine Corps general who served in this legislature in 1974. In 1978, he was appointed the Commissioner of the Department of Human Resources and served in that position until he was appointed Undersecretary of the Army by President George Bush, after which he was appointed the ambassador to Jamaica by President Bill Clinton. He has been one of the most active people in our state in many areas, so I would just ask for a moment of silence for his passing. Thank you.
The clerk will now receive reports of standing committees. We'll receive those reports throughout the day. The House is now in position to introduce bills and resolutions. The House now receive resolutions from the Committee on Rules. The clerk will read the first resolution.
House Joint Resolution number 230 by Representative Yarborough, posthumously commending Private First Class Noah C. Reeves for his service to his country. House Joint Resolution number 232 by Representative Pringle, mourning the death and celebrating the life of Mrs. Lamona Hall Lucas. Senate Joint Resolution number 67 by Senator Carnley, commending Peter M. Dachera, MD, for his service to Troy University Athletics. Senate Joint Resolution number 68 by Senator Beasley, commending Catherine Elizabeth Griffin on being named a 2023-2024 Alabama Independent School Association Student Athlete Award winner. Senate Joint Resolution number 69 by Senator Beasley, commending Anna Grace Blaylock on being named a 2023-2024 Alabama Independent School Association Student Athlete Award winner. Senate Joint Resolution number 70 by Senator Melson, commending Drew Stutz on being named National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics 2024 Coach of the Year. Senate Joint Resolution number 72 by Senator Allen, celebrating the life of Linda Plott Duran.
Move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Resolution number 224 by Representative Pascal, recognizing Parental Alienation Prevention Week, April 21st through 27th, 2024.
I move adoption. I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Chair would like to recognize Chairman Wilcox for a moment of personal privilege.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. Can I have your attention today? This is our much anticipated Sunset Day. I'd like to introduce the members of the Sunset Committee. And as I say your name, please stand. There are going to be resources along the day so that we can get this calendar passed. Matt Simpson, Randall Shedd, Neil Rafferty, Bubba Underwood, Pro Tem Chris Pringle, and then the board's agency and commission committee members are Ben Robbins, Napoleon Bracey, Parker Moore, Steve Hurst, Kelvin Lawrence, Bubba Underwood, Marilyn Lands, Mac Butler, Bill Lamb, and Donna Givens. And of course, Mary Ruth Davis, our executive committee clerk. Karen Smith and Zachary Curvin are attorneys with LSA. They're here to offer any assistance that you need on the bills. And then from the Alabama Examiners of Public Accounts, we have Dixie Broadwater Thomas. She's the Director of Operational Audits, and Rachel Riddle is the Chief Examiner. So the process today, and the process for those of you that don't know about Sunset, is that the Examiners of Public Accounts perform the audits. The Sunset Committee meets to review the audit outcomes and meets with each board, agency, or commission. These reviews and meetings take place all summer. LSA attends the meetings and assists in developing the bills. Most agencies receive a clear audit and are scheduled to be reviewed again in 4 years. Some have findings that warrant a different timeline. Rarely a board is reconstituted, but we do have one this year. Another one this year, we codified a working relationship with the state agency that we felt would assist the working professionals. Tweaks and or updates to the governing codes are incorporated into the process to help our working citizens comply with updated guidelines or federal requirements. The board's agency and commissions committee then reviews the bills and makes sure they are ready for the body to vote on. And let me focus your attention on this one item. This is the day that the House of Representatives works on more workforce development than any other day. This is the day we serve the working professionals in our state, the citizens that have taken the time to be credentialed in their chosen profession. I pray that we serve them with honor and distinction like they do for us 365 days of the year. So with that being said, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the recognition.
Chair thanks the lady and thanks the committee for their work. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a resolution.
Clerk, see the resolution.
House Resolution number 236 from the House Rules Committee, a special order calendar.
Move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Clerk, call first bill on special order calendar.
On page 49 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 111 by Senator Gavan relating to the Board of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Contractors.
Representative Underwood, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. This is the first of our boards, agencies, and commissions that we'll be reviewing from Sunset. This one is Board of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Contractors. There was two somewhat significant issues that we worked through during our Sunset time. There was one prior finding that was minor, and we worked through it as well. So the recommendation from the committee is 4 years of continued until 2028. There is some slight word change for technical correction, changing years to hours, and that's in the section within the code. But we recommend 4 years continued service to 2028. With that, we'll call for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 103 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
With that, I'll call for final.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 111. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
How'd it do, Margie?
Clerk will lock the machine and record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 111 has passed.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman.
Thank you, House.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 50 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 113 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board.
Representative Moore, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 13 is the ABC board. They had no significant issues, and they are recommending a 4-year continuum until 2028. Mr. Speaker, I call for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Representative Moore.
Mr. Speaker, I call for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 113. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the votes. 98 ayes, 2 nays. SB 113 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 50 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 114 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alabama Real Estate Appraisers Board.
Representative Lamb, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm bringing Senate Bill 114. It's Real Estate Appraisals Board. It's a continuation for 4 years with no modifications through the year 2028. With that, I call for the BRI.
As questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR is adopted. Representative Lamb.
I call for the final passage, please.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 14. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 114 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 50 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 115 by Senator Gavan relating to the State Licensing Board for General Contractors.
Representative Lamb, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm bringing Senate Bill 115. It's the Licensing Board for General Contractors. It's a continuation for 3 years with no modification, and the reason for the 3 years is getting it back on a normal cycle. With that, I call for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Lamb.
With that, I call for the final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 115. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 115 has passed. Representative Lamb, I think these are your first 2 bills, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's give him a big hand. Congratulations on passing your first bill.
Thank you very much. Thank you, members. Thank you.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 51 of the calendar, House Bill number 116 by Senator Gavan relating to the Alabama On-Site Wastewater Board.
Representative Rafferty, you're recognized.
Thank you for the recognition. This is the Alabama On-Site Wastewater Board. The committee's recommendation is 1 year, continued until 2025. With that, I would ask for the BIR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Rafferty.
If there's no further questions, I'd like to ask for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of SB 116. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 116 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 14 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 117 by Senator Stewart relating to the Alabama Electronic Security Board.
Representative Rafferty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This deals with the Alabama Electronic Security Board of Licensure. The committee recommendation is 4 years until 2028. If there's no other questions, I'd like to request the BIR.
That is the question, is the adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Rafferty.
No further questions. I'd like to ask for final passage, Mr. Speaker.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 117. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 117 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chair recognizes Pro Tem. Ms. Clerk, call the next bill, please.
On page 14 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 118 by Senator Stewart relating to the Alabama Private Investigation Board.
Ms. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this renews the Alabama Private Investigators Board, and with that, I move adoption of the BIR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Mr. Pro Tem.
Move final passage.
That is questions final passage of 118. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 118 has passed. Pro Tem Pringer, you're recognized for announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we missed this announcement earlier, so today I encourage all Alabamians to join the Alabama Soil and Water Conservation Committee and the Alabama Association of Conservation Districts in commemorating National Association of Conservation Districts Stewardship Week. Stewardship Week is an annual event aimed at raising awareness about the importance of environmental stewardship and nurturing tomorrow's conservationists. This year's theme, May the Forest be with you always, underscores our dedication to safeguarding and honoring our forests for the benefit of future generations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 15 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 120 by Senator Kelly relating to the Alabama Board of Funeral Services.
Representative Lands, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm bringing Senate Bill 120 today before the House. It continues the Alabama Board of Funeral Services with no modifications for 4 years. If there are no questions, I'd like to move for the adoption of the BIR.
That is questions, adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lands.
If there are no further questions, I'd like to move passage of the bill.
That is the question. Is final passage of SB 120. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. SB 120 has passed. Representative Land, that is your first bill as well. Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair thanks the lady. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 15 of the calendar, there is Senate Bill number 121 by Senator Kelly relating to the Alabama.
Dr. Shing, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 121's BR has been adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for final passage.
That is questions, final passage of SB 121. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. SB 121 is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 33 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 122 with substitute by Senator Kelly relating to the Alabama Board of Electrical Contractors.
Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill would provide for a 2-year continuance due to some findings that they had, and it would also provide for to allow those with existing provisional electrical license to continue. With that, I move for the BR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Butler.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt.
I'm showing you got a sub on this one.
Got a sub, yes, sir.
Care to explain your sub to us?
It actually, I did. It's just, it had to do with electrical contractors that had a provisional license. That had not been passed by the legislature. That was something the board had done that was incorrect. And this actually puts it in the law, the statute, to clear it up, to let those that have been doing the electrical work forever with a license in only a municipality, that jurisdiction would allow them to continue only in that jurisdiction, not to go statewide.
Very good.
And this is mainly the older guys that have been doing it forever.
Yeah, thank y'all for that, by the way. You heard the explanation of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. Sub has been adopted. Representative Butler.
Yes, sir. I move for final passage.
That's question final passage of SB 122 as sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 122 has passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 33 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 123 by Senator Kelly, relating to the State Board of Auctioneers.
Representative Underwood.
Gotcha. Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. This is for the Board of Auctioneers. Likewise, it was vetted by our Sunset Committee. There was one significant issue plus one prior, but they were insignificant enough that we recommended them to be renewed for 4 years until 2028. With that, I call for the BR.
As questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 97 ayes, 1 nay. BR has been adopted.
With that, I call for final.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the gentleman, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell me what the significant issue was?
Yes, ma'am. The significant issue was 59 payments made to a management company that oversees this board, Smith Warren Management. They were reviewed and it was paid, the right amounts were paid, but they were paid prior to the service being performed. And so it's just a timing issue.
Sure.
So they made recognition of that, they changed that, so now the service is done and the check is paid after that. So that was our significant issue.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is final passage of SB 123. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 1 nay. SB 123 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 52 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 124 by Senator Kelly, relating to the Alabama Security Regulatory Board.
Chairman Wilcox, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm bringing SB 124, which is the Alabama Security Regulatory Board.
Here.
This is for a 1-year rollover. They had one significant issue, which was bringing 12 payments made to Smith Warren Management Services during the sunset review period that were sent in advance. 11 of these payments revealed the invoices with Smith Warren Management were submitted and paid by the board prior to the services actually being serviced. So 3 years continued into 2027 puts them back on normal rotation. If I hear no further objections, I ask for the BIR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Chris, will you vote him?
Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Chairwoman.
All right, I'd like to ask for final passage of
That is
SB
question is
124.
final passage of SB 124. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 97 ayes, 0 nays. SB 124 has passed.
Thank you.
Thank the lady. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 34 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 125 by Senator Stewart, relating to the State Board of Public Accountancy.
Representative Lawrence, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. SB 25 is for the Board of Public Accountancy, and this renewed it for 4 additional years. With no further questions, I move for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Lawrence.
If there are no other questions, Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
That is questions. Final passive, SB 125. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 125 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 35 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 126 by Senator Stewart, relating to the Alabama Liquefied Petroleum Gas Board.
Representative Lawrence, you're recognized.
Hi, SB 126 is dealing with the Alabama Liquefied Petroleum Gas Board, and their recommendation for the committee is 4 years continuing to 2028.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lawrence.
Move for final passage.
That's questions, final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 126 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 53 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 127 by Senator Stewart, relating to the Alabama Athletic Commission.
Representative Lawrence, you're recognized.
SB 127 is dealing with the Alabama Athletics Commission, and it's one of these commissions that's different from like your normal athletic association. It deals with sports such as martial arts, kickboxing, amateur kickboxing, boxing, tough man competition, and that type of thing. And they're recommended for continuous renewal. With that, I move for the BR.
So are you entering those competitions, Representative?
I don't think so. I'll try maybe tough man competition.
There you go. That's what I was thinking. Question for the body is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 ayes, 0 nays. BAR has been adopted. Representative Lawrence.
I move for final passage, Mr. Speaker.
That is questions, final passage of SB 127. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 127 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, member.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 16 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 130 by Senator Barfoot, relating to the Alabama Board of Court Reporting.
Chairwoman Collins, you're recognized. Well, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. Representative Lamb, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 130 is Board of Court Reporting. It's recommended to continue for 4 years with no modifications through 2028. With that, I'd call for the BR.
That's question adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Lamb.
If there's no further questions, I call for final passage, please.
That's questions. Final. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
I just wanted to take this point of personal privilege and come down here and haze you for about 2 seconds. Mr. Speaker, Representative Land done passed 20 bills in the last 10 minutes, more than any legislator I've ever seen in the House of Representatives. How were you able to do that, sir?
I think they just thought it'd be an easy lift for me. They gave me some simple ones.
All right. Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
The question for the body is final passage of SB 130. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 101 ayes, 0 nays. SB 130 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 16 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 131 by Senator Barfoot, relating to the Alabama Behavior Analyst Licensing Board.
Chairwoman Wilcox, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm presenting SB 131, the bill for the Behavior Analyst Licensing Board. This is the board that we codified some of the things for the Department of Mental Health to assist them with. They had some significant issues that the Sunset Board felt like the Sunset Committee felt like with more support from the Department of Mental Health would assist them to be able to do their job. So with that being said, I asked for the BIR. We're asking them to have 2 years until 2026 with the legislation to require the Department of Mental Health to provide certain services.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you. Would the lady yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you give me an example of kinds of issues that were significant to concerns that you had?
A lot of it was back office things, but one of the things
What do you mean, back office?
Like making sure they did some stuff with the Secretary of State, even though we've now taken steps to help all boards comply with posting their changes to the Secretary of State's office. They had minutes for 4 meetings were not signed by a board officer. The minutes of 8 meetings did not record the time of the meeting was called and to order and subsequently adjourned as well. So it was more some back office technical things. But one of the most compelling things that we found is that when people called this board, they were sent to an answering machine. So we felt like the Department of Mental Health should at least, we organized, I spent many hours on this particular bill myself, making sure that when people call, a person answers the phone and gives them the assist that they need to be able to do their job, or if they have a complaint. So we found there was some delays in their complaint process, but we dug down deep into it and figured out why. We got together with the board, we got together with the Department of Mental Health, and worked it all out, but we codified those changes.
So the calls were going to
a voicemail, and then the chairman of the board was checking that voicemail periodically while he's working a 40-hour plus work week at another job. So a volunteer board member the chairman was having to do all that stuff, and we really didn't think it was helping him or the board itself.
And I appreciate that, because I hear that a lot, that boards or organizations that represent the state, sometimes there's no one to answer the phone. Are you finding this as you went through this process? Did you find that the case with other agencies as well? Because that's a real concern.
Oh, it is, especially when these are professional boards representing the working people of the state of Alabama, who have an obligation to the citizens of Alabama to fulfill their obligations. Sure. And so where we have found those deficiencies, that's why this Sunset Committee is digging in a little deeper than we have in the past and working on these issues and taking them head on. So I personally took this board on myself and probably had 10 hours worth of different meetings to get it to where this bill is today.
I know if you were in charge, you did the work. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for the work that you've done.
Thank you, Representative Hall. If there's no further questions, I move for the final passage.
BIR.
BIR, sorry.
Clerk on the lock machine, the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Representative Wilcox.
There's no final questions. I move for final passage of the bill, please.
That's questions, final passage. Clerk on the lock machine, the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 131 has passed.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Chairman Fincher for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I need to suspend the rules, if that's possible, and ask leave of the House for the Constitution, Campaigns, and Elections Committee at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've got something we need to deal with this afternoon. And we will be meeting in our normal committee room, which is 419. So that's this afternoon at 3. Not 3, 5. Okay, I thought we had 3 nailed down, but 5. Okay, 5 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Bob, let's give them information on what it's about.
You needed information. is Senate Bill 324, and it's the companion bill to Representative Daniels' bill, which changes the election dates for qualifying and all so that the Democratic candidates can appear on the ballot. And we've already passed a bill similar to this. It's the Senate version, okay? That's the bill. Any other questions? Thank you.
Chair thanks the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 35 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 132 by Senator Barfoot, relating to the Alabama Board of Social Work Examiners.
Representative Lawrence, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is SB 132, dealing with the social workers examiners, and I think they were recommended for additional 4 years, continuing to 2028 with no major significant issues. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move for the BR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lawrence.
No other questions, Mr. Speaker. I move for final passage.
That is question. Final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. SB 132 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 53 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 133 by Senator Barfoot, relating to the Alabama Securities Commission.
Chairwoman Wilcox, you're recognized.
Thank you for your recognition. I'm presenting SB 133, the Alabama Securities Commission. This is one of our shining lights in the boards that we recommended and reviewed. They are recommended for 4 years, continued until 2028 with no issues.
Questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote.
Yeah, they had one. I need to correct that. They did, the Secretary of State notification, they did not do it, but it's very minor.
Okay. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
If there's no questions, I move for final passage.
That is the questions. Final passage of SB 133. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 96 ayes, 0 nays. SB 133 has passed.
Thank you.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 53 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 134 by Senator Barfoot, relating to the Department of Insurance.
Representative Robbins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. This bill just continues the Department of Insurance until October 1, 2028, without a move for the BIR.
That's questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 95 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted.
And without a move for final passage.
That's question. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 94 ayes, 0 nays. SB 134 has passed.
Thank you.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 137 with substitute by Senator Gudger, relating to the Alabama Board of Massage Therapy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. This is the board that we are going to sunset. However, we want to make sure we get all the language right. So at this time, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask that we carry over Senate Bill 137.
Now this question is carry over SB 137. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It has been carried over. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 49 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 138 by Senator Gudger, relating to Plumbers and Gas Fitters Examining Board.
Representative Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and this is my last one. The Senate Bill 138, Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, is recommended to continue for 4 years, no modifications through 2028. There's no questions. I call for the BIR.
That is the questions. Adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Lamb.
If there are no further questions, I call for final passage, please.
That is the question. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 138 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 69 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 139 by Senator Gudger, relating to the Alabama Board of Cosmetology and Barbering.
Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is for the Board of Cosmetology and Barbering, and the recommendation is for a continuance of 4 more years.
Clerk on the lock machine, and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 ayes, 2 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move for final passage, please.
That is questions, final passage. Clerk on the lock machine, the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 2 nays. SB 139 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, call next bill.
On page 70 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 140 by Senator Gudger, relating to the Alabama Professional Bail Bonding Board.
Chairman Simpson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. This is the Professional Bail Bonding Board. It is the recommendation of the committee that this board be carried for a 1-year rollover and be reviewed in the 2024 until 2025 for abbreviated report.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 2 nays. The BR has been adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for final passage.
That is the question's final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk, call next bill.
Page 16 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 114 by Senator Coleman Madison, relating to the Alabama Board of Examiners in Psychology.
Representative Bracey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 114 is a sunset bill for the Alabama Board of Examiners in Psychology, and we're asked for them to be continued until 2028. If there's no questions, I move the BIR.
That is the question is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 1 nay. The BR has been adopted. Representative Bracey.
Move final passage.
That's questions, final passage of SB 144. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 98 ayes, 2 nays. SB 114 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 145 by Senator Coleman Madison, relating to the Alabama Board of Examiners in Counseling.
Representative Bracey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Bill 145 is a sunset bill for the Alabama Board of Examiners in Counseling. We're only asking for a 2-year because of some level of significant findings, so we want to reevaluate in 2 years, which will take this board to October 1, 2026. If there's no questions, I move the BIR.
That is questions, adoption of the BIR. Clerk, Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you. Would the gentleman here
Yes, ma'am.
give me some idea what those findings were?
Okay. One of them was the board did not maintain accurate and current timekeeping records. Another one would have been the board did not deposit checks received in a timely manner. Current membership of the board does not conform to the geographic diversity requirements specified in the board's enabling statute. So these are some things that we're looking at, and this is just a few of them. These are some things that we're looking at to try to help them get on track, and we're only going to extend them for 2 years to try to help them to get where we think they need to be. And that's why we didn't do the full 4 years.
Sure. And so in the process, just mentioning the 2 that you mentioned, does that mean that you as a member of the board will be monitoring, that's going to be your responsibility? Is that the total
Well, not just mine, but it will be the Sunset Board.
Sure.
And it will also be the boards and commissions, our committee
Sure.
as well.
Okay.
And it's something that we're trying to stay on top of. It was a little bit better when we had Representative Rogers here. He helped
Right.
as well. But it is something that we're trying to monitor and stay on top of for every board, not just this one.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 2 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Bracy.
Move final passage.
That's questions, final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 ayes, 2 nays. SB 145 has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 35 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 146 by Senator Coleman Madison, relating to the Board of Examiners of Assisted Living Administrators.
Representative Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This, as well as a renewal, this particular board had a few significant issues, a couple of priors. That being the case, we agreed to bring it back in 2 years, so it is recommended to be renewed for 2 more years until 2026. With that, I'll call for the BR.
That is questions, adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 97 ayes, 1 nay. The BR has been adopted.
No further questions. I'll call for a final vote.
That is questions, final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 98 ayes, 1 nay. SB 146 has passed. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 36 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 147 by Senator Coleman Madison, relating to the Public Service Commission.
Representative Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This one is a good board. There was only one issue that was discussed. We are recommending it to be renewed for 4 years until 2028.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Got to ask for BR. Got to ask.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Representative Underwood.
Call for final vote.
That is questions, final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 ayes, 0 nays. SB 147 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 54 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 148 by Senator Coleman Madison, relating to the Alabama State Board of Respiratory Therapy.
Representative Bracy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is Senate Bill 148, Alabama Sunset Law, for the Alabama State Board of Respiratory Therapy, and we're asking for them to be continued for 4 years until October 1, 2028.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted.
Move final passage.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Representative Stringer.
No, we didn't vote on it. We didn't final passage. Oh.
Okay. Question now before the body is final passage of SB 148. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Thank you.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 102 ayes, 0 nays. SB 148 has passed. The chair recognizes Pro Tem Pringle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been here a long time, and I have never seen a more efficiently run Sunset Day. 42 minutes. 42 minutes. Congratulations, Chairman Wilcox, for an excellent job.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile. Representative Stringer for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that we suspend the rules to allow the Mobile delegation to meet in the Speaker's conference room.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is granted. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a resolution.
Clerk, see the resolution.
House Resolution number 237 by the House Rules Committee, a special order calendar.
Move adoption.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It has been adopted. Clerk, call first bill on special order calendar.
On page 69 of the calendar, House Bill number 474 by Representative Treadaway relating to motor vehicles.
Representative Treadway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if you remember last year, we passed the exhibition driving bill, and it's shown a lot of great success in a lot of our cities across the state of Alabama. Here in the last few weeks, the city of Birmingham has made a number of arrests, about 15, seized a number of guns, drugs, and recovered a number of stolen cars. What the cities are asking for now is there's been technology is growing, and most of these cities have real-time crime centers, is to be able to utilize cameras in these cities to identify these violators and be able to go after them. What this bill does not do, it's not a red light bill, it's not a speeding camera bill. I've been asked those questions quite a bit. But it simply will allow our law enforcement agencies to use cameras. An example, in Birmingham, they're using social media and other cities, and what has happened is they'll have a pop-up exhibition driving, donuts or whatever, in one area of the city while it pops up in other areas. Or as this weekend, Representative Sellers sent me a video where he was in a city and a rogue individual just took over a street and started doing donuts. Cameras are going to be utilized more and more, and law enforcement needs that tool to identify these violators. What this bill will do is allow law enforcement to seize the vehicle for a minimum of 48 hours to further investigation. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BIR.
The chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, I thought we had already passed some kind of bill dealing with those cars racing last year.
We did.
Well, what's the difference in this bill and last year's bill?
Well, on the general bill, what we passed one statewide, and it's starting to be utilized with great success. The problem is we need to be able to use the technology that law enforcement has available to identify these vehicles, because a lot of times
we didn't have a camera bill in the bill last year.
No, that dealt with a local application only. This applies it to the criminal statute statewide. That was a local bill where you.
So what's the difference?
Well, that was a local application, so it only applied to Jefferson County. Law enforcement.
So this one applies statewide?
This is statewide, applies to the criminal application.
So you didn't have the criminal aspect of it in last year's bill?
Not utilizing the cameras, the technology that's available.
Using cameras?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, we kind of don't like those cameras. Because once you open the door once for them, you have the opportunity for us to use them for other things. You know, and across the country, you've got people, once they put these various types of cameras in for different problems they have, there's always that potential of a misuse of a technological advancement we have. But I don't like that. I think that with the bill that we passed last year, if that is just that we have to have our law enforcement officers, we just got to come up with a plan other than opening the doors to put cameras in Birmingham. any other place that don't want it. It leads to us then putting the traffic light cameras and all of the other type cameras that you have that are available for us in certain deeds that people are doing. I just have a problem with that, us opening that door for that. That's my biggest concern, because I know, so I think at some point they wanted to even go to the traffic light cameras for our city, and I just strongly believe that once we put something that's statewide, one little opportunity, it opened the doors for other opportunities for it to be used. And I think that's my biggest concern, because I thought on last year you were putting enough in that bill to try to address the issue, but you said that bill was just for local application.
So maybe I can alleviate your concerns on that. The bill specifically forbids traffic cameras, red light cameras, speed cameras. Those are for-profit companies that contract with the city.
Mm-hmm.
This bill specifically speaks to law enforcement utilizing their technology to help them fight this type of violator.
So how do you prevent them at some future day from saying, well, you know, we could save money by contracting this out?
Well, this bill does not allow that.
How hard, Mr. Treadway, will it be if they say they want to contract it out? Say, get Treadway to take that bill, and you'll come here with the bill.
Those red lights.
And then you'll say, yeah, but I just want to, you know, I just don't want to open that door up. But what you're saying is that each police officer or law enforcement, they would be mandating their own cameras, and the whole technology would be contained within their department.
Correct. That's the key.
That's the difference.
And it forbids the red lights in this bill, or speeding or red light cameras. You're correct. It allows only the technology utilized by law enforcement within their department.
Within their department, not contracting for somebody else to do it like they do those red lights and come back and charge you for storing the films. And then if they have to use it in court, they charge you to take it out the file. They charge you for everything that you do. So I think that's one of my biggest concerns, is that it's not one of those for-profit companies, and that all of this technology, and whichever municipality decides to pick it up, that it will be contained within that department itself, without another third party coming or second party coming into play.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Hey, Mary.
Chair recognizes Representative Ream from Houston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Treadway, I just wanted to come up and thank you for bringing this bill, the work you put into it, and I think it's very important, and I just want to express my support for it.
Thank you.
very
Appreciate it. You're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Chair recognizes Representative Hollis from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you, I glanced over the bill, but can you explain it to me?
All right, so with this bill, last year we passed the exhibition driving bill. So what law enforcement, specifically the City of Birmingham, has asked that we expand it to use law enforcement's technology that's available, the Real-Time Crime Center, as well as the Big Ten mayors have also asked for this type of addition to the existing law. So they're popping up like it started. There's been an explosion with this. Obviously, in our area, there's been a number of deaths, a number of folks sent to the hospital critically injured. They're using social media, for example, what is happening, or it's just popping up like Representative Sellers videoed this weekend. When officers respond to one area, it's popping up at other areas. In these areas, we have law enforcement cameras. So we're seeing the activity, we're recording the activity, we can get the description of the vehicle, the tag number, but we don't have the ability to go seize that vehicle without this additional legislation. So it will allow law enforcement, not a third party, law enforcement to use their technology to go after these violators, and it will really be a game changer. You know, it's not unusual for us to pass bills down here and have to tweak them in subsequent years, and this is one of those. You finished? This is one of those bills that will do just that.
Yeah. Well, I am for the bill because I am a product of being at a stoplight on Roebuck Parkway, and there was a chase, and the sheriff was chasing someone, and they literally knocked me out the way.
Right.
You know, and I'm thankful to God that I'm still here today, because it could have been very much more tragic than what it was. So I appreciate the bill, and also this is also will help to recuperate if a car was stolen as well, correct?
Right. So the first 15 or 16 cars in the last couple of weeks under this law that have been seized by Birmingham, and I'm sure it's the same in other cities, about 35-40% are stolen. So we're getting the victims back those cars. A number of weapons have been seized this weekend in Birmingham. One was a Glock with a Glock switch, which made it a fully automatic machine gun. Drugs have been seized and a number of weapons. So if we are able to use these cameras,
right,
well, we're seeing them happen all over the city. I promise you, we're going to show up at your workplace or at your home within hours. It keeps law enforcement from having to pursue these folks through the street, putting everybody's life in danger. But we can go seize the vehicle, further investigation, hold it for a minimum of 48 hours, investigate, see if it's stolen, what as many of these are, and so we're going to be recovering them. It is vitally important that we were able to use this technology, and it will slow it down. There's no doubt.
Thinking if we had this technology a few years ago, and the person that hit me and ran me off the road, we could, because they never were able to catch him or find him. So maybe if that was in place, then they would, you know, have him, and to see if he had insurance, I had to pay for my own damages as well, you know. So I appreciate the bill, and I'm looking forward. So maybe if, you know, if this happened again to someone, then we're able to track down whom or who, you know, to make them pay for what they did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Gidley from Etowah.
Representative Treadaway, let me make sure I hear what you're doing with this bill is trying to create safety and protection and save lives. Isn't that pretty much what the
bottom line?
This
that's
is?
it.
Right.
That's right.
So I appreciate you bringing this. I know this is an issue. I live out in the country, but still it's an issue there too. And anything we can do to save lives, not just other people, but people that are participating even, it's a good thing. That's so thank you for bringing this bill, friend.
Thank you, sir.
The question now is on the adoption of the BIR. All those in favor will vote aye, and all opposed will vote no. Clerk, unlock the machine.
Get Steve.
Clerk, lock the machine. 99 ayes, 0 nays. BIR passes. Chair recognizes Representative Gavan from Jefferson.
I'm somewhat confused by this piece of legislation in that we passed 2 bills last year that were Jefferson County bills relative. Well, one was a general bill, and then of course I had HB 107 that was enrolled and became law Act 2023-171. And the language that you are using in this bill as a general bill is already language that was written into my bill. I called Legislative Services, and they compared the language. So I'm trying to see what we missed versus what you have in this bill when it's already in law. For instance, in 107, it speaks to where automated photographic or video traffic enforcement systems are authorized to be used. Existing law, the same language is in that particular bill, HB 107. as well as a couple of other points that are in your general bill now. So I'm just trying to get the clarity as one of the sponsors of those that legislation related to exhibition driving. What is the difference in these two bills?
This is a general application statewide.
So, but you brought this bill for Randall Woodson and the city of Birmingham. This language is already language that passed for the city of Birmingham last year. So there's no need for us to make this a general bill. So I'm just trying to see, and maybe I should have asked, maybe the clerk or somebody, what the difference, what we cannot do in the local bill is what I'm trying to get to. If the goal in Jefferson County is to combat exhibition driving, as we've been seeing these last few days, they've been going out with these task force and making all of these arrests. I'm just trying to get, for my clarity and understanding, what this bill does when the language that you have in this bill, in HB 474, is already language that was voted out and approved and wrote into law in HB 107, Act 2023-171. So I'm just trying, and I'm not here to be critical, I'm just trying to get the clarity because it's the same language in a general bill, for a local bill. So we're now taking a local bill and making it a general bill, and I'm just trying to get, for my own edification and clarity as to why. Representative Treadaway.
Was that a question?
Yeah.
General application. Big Ten mayors signed off. Every police department in the state of Alabama utilize this tool. That's as simple as I can put it.
But you've been floating this bill to say that the city of Birmingham needed this. We already have this in law in HB 107 if it was for the purpose. So, but what you're saying is you're now doing this for all the other cities. Because that's what I'm just trying to get the clarity on.
It has a general application, so all cities can utilize this technology. I can't make it any simpler than that. And nobody said.
I'm just trying to get the.
I'm trying to clarify for you.
Because I
you want to talk about this bill, we'll talk about it.
I will.
It's a general application. Every law enforcement department can use it. Period.
Okay, so
that's as clear as it gets.
But when it was brought to us,
that's period.
When it was brought to us, it was a Jefferson County. It was a city of Birmingham. So I'm just trying to get the clarity because that's what was shared with us, that we were asked to assist the city of Birmingham with this legislation. And I'm just trying to get the clarity because if you're saying it's for the city of Birmingham, this language is already written into law that was approved by this body in a local bill on last year. So Randy Woods, do you want to come up here and handle this bill? Because I'm talking to the sponsor. So I just need you to have several seats. So I'm only asking because after I went back through the bill and I have perused with the exception of one or two lines, and as a matter of fact, this was language I believe that you objected to initially when I was first trying to discuss these bills with you, this exhibition bill with you. So I'm just somewhat taken aback that we're bringing this bill, which is supposed to be a City of Birmingham bill, now making it a general bill for whatever purpose, and we are already authorized under law in Birmingham to utilize the camera system and apparatuses as prescribed in Act 2023-171. So I don't know, again, if it's for the purpose of you bringing it for other areas or the Big Ten. I could care less about the Big Ten. So when y'all say that, it's like, okay, the Big Ten, and like, okay, the earth's supposed to stop. People are killing in Birmingham every day. Homelessness is running rampant. People are tearing up their cars every day on raggedy, dilapidated streets, and nothing in the city of Birmingham is getting done. So as far as it relates to saying the Big Ten, okay, we, happy go me. But at the end of the day, this bill in the city of Birmingham, as they are in the Big Ten, is not necessary because this is already in law with the same exact wording as in my local bill from last year. And I wanted to bring this to the attention of those who are listening from the city of Birmingham in other areas or that are streaming this. But Birmingham already can act, they can go out, they can catch these individuals who are doing exhibition driving and continuing to violate the law if they continue with these task force and putting those things into place. So for me, this is, again, excessiveness that we're now delving into other areas, other municipalities and things of that nature. But again, if it's just, as I was told, for the city of Birmingham, then this not necessary for the city of Birmingham for us to have this legislation. And that's in black and white already. It's been verified. I've got the clarity from our legislative services, same language, but if that's what this body chooses, I'm not here to stop or ask anyone not to do anything. And I don't have a problem with you standing over there to that side. It doesn't bother me not one bit, Treadaway, because I'm not coming up to this microphone because of you. I'm coming up to this microphone to get out what I have to say. And this is my 10 minutes, and I'm going to take every bit of them, whether you stand at this microphone or you do just as you're doing, because I guess you're going to show me up at this podium. But let me tell you something. You can try Jesus and don't try me, because I don't even.
I'm sorry, what was that you said?
You heard me.
Why don't you address the bill? I'll answer your question. You want to address the bill?
Y'all see how
I'll
he
answer
treats
your
me?
question.
Y'all see how
Address
he
the
treats
bill.
me at the microphone? Tough guy.
Yeah, you better believe.
Tough guy at the microphone.
Don't underestimate it.
So, at the end of the day, yeah, I had 10 minutes up here at this microphone, and I'm going to take my 1 minute and 51 seconds, and I simply came here to make a point that if this legislation was for the city of Birmingham, we passed out last year that specific language, and I was told this was for the city of Birmingham. I don't have one dog in this fight one way or the other about this bill, but at the end of the day, the city of Birmingham is already authorized with these cameras as it relates to Act 2023-171, if in fact it was for the city of Birmingham. And then lastly, we should not be bringing bills because the mayor of the city of Birmingham cannot get a bill out through our local delegation and circumventing a process to do so. That mayor should be speaking with the Jefferson County delegation and having taken the opportunity to work with his legislators from our area and not just one legislator. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Hendricks of Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, I'm trying to hear you here.
All right.
Hold on, I can't hear you. Can you go? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Representative. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you thank you for this legislation.
Thank you.
Reason being, as you all know, I'm a sergeant with Birmingham Police Department, right? So look, just this weekend, for those who don't know, I had to work the operation Night Rider. I didn't get home till 4 o'clock this morning because of this operation. All right, so I'm not somebody here speaking third party. I'm asking somebody who's speaking that actually conducting this operation. Yes, this bill is successful. We seized just this weekend, I would say roughly 13 vehicles, may have arrested 14 people. Also got some guns off the street, some dope, and also some of those vehicles were stolen. So when I tell you that we need these cameras, reason why, we was on the south side of Birmingham dealing with a group of people, maybe 20 people. Our task force that everybody's talking about, on the east side, we didn't have nobody over there. If we have these cameras, if we have these videos, you know what? It'll help us identify these offenders, these vehicles, so next day or the day after, we can go ahead and sign a warrant and get those vehicles. Reason being, I'm out here there every day and I see how these vehicles are tearing up the street. Again, I'm not speaking on what somebody have told me. I'm speaking on what I see. Do you understand? So I tell you that this legislation to me is important as a profession. It's important. Not only that, the issue is that once we take these offenders into custody, they getting out within 24 hours. Right. What they doing is they going home, getting ready for the next weekend to do the same thing over and over again. The problem is that they are not staying in jail for a long time. Do you understand? My problem is that we need to keep these offenders in jail. If they come back again, the second time they get caught, which is a repeat offender, my personal opinion, as well as some more co-workers of mine, I think they need to do some more time in jail. As well as their vehicles need to be seized at least a minimum of 10 days. Because what happens is they won't be able to do it the next week or the following week. Not only that, when you write these offenders a ticket, right? You write them a ticket, they get points deducted from their driver record. I think the point system, it needs to increase. If you get a certain amount of points on your driving record, what happens is your license gets suspended. The reason why I'm talking about these points is because I've seen people die from this exposition driving. I'm not telling you what I saw, what somebody told me. I'm telling you what I saw. Right now, these people are tearing up the streets of the city of Birmingham, and I know they're doing the same thing, not just in Jefferson County, but in other counties as well. So, Treadwell, again, I thank you for this legislation. I hope the members of this body, please hear me when I say this. I need y'all to help. I need y'all, please. Again, thank you so much.
I appreciate it, Sergeant. Thank you very much. And let me say this to you. Next year, we'll work on the penalties if needed.
Chair recognizes Representative Sellers of Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
I, too, agree with my colleague Hendricks about the need for this particular legislation, as it's not just in Birmingham, but it's across the state of Alabama. And even though we've had this dialogue back and forth, I think from a local perspective, we need to make sure that it is communicated very well to the city of Birmingham that to have a good, wholesome crime prevention plan and not wait till the last minute to throw something up and we're not aware. I think that is really kind of disrespectful to the rest of the delegation. But to get to your point that you made earlier, as I was traveling on Thursday, I had a speaking engagement, and at the intersection of 3rd Avenue and Arkadelphia, all I see is one car spinning around. And I wish that you would show that video at some point so people can see how disruptive and how unsafe it may be for persons to do exhibition driving in the middle of the day, in the middle of traffic, holding traffic up. People had to take alternate routes just to get around that mess. And so let's keep working on making our streets safer. Let's keep working on making sure that our law enforcement have every tool that they need to handle issues of the such. Let's make sure as a body that we keep our citizens safe.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments.
Chair recognizes Representative Yarborough of Morgan.
Thank you for the recognition. I'll keep this short. We actually had this need where I grew up in the country on an old dirt road. A gentleman would come once about every 2 weeks, and he would do donuts in the gardens, even in the country where I grew up. And so I appreciate the bill. I just had a question about, had some situations where tickets were given, not this bill, right, but and the person driving the car was not the owner of the car. So how does it work? Like if a teenager or somebody gets a car and does this,
So this is not going to issue any tickets to anybody we cannot identify in the vehicle, or
Right.
the investigation doesn't show that this particular person was in the car. But
Gotcha.
it does seize the vehicle that was violating the law.
Right.
Allows an investigator to look into it further, right?
Right.
You may get somebody that they can identify through
I
that
gotcha.
investigation and make an arrest. So this is not a ticketed
Right.
situation. So the vehicle would be seized a minimum of 48 hours.
Right.
We're seeing about 40% of these are stolen.
Right.
But we're going to be able to seize those.
Okay.
We're not trying to zoom in on the
Right.
driver. We're trying to get the vehicle that violated the law
got you.
and help law enforcement with their investigation to probably try to find who was
Sure.
driving that vehicle.
And so then in that case, even if it was like a teenager or somebody that took their dad's car, it might happen one time, but it probably won't happen two times. So
That's right.
I got you.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Question for the body's adoption of HB 474. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 yeas, 0 nays. House Bill 474 passes. The clerk
Thank you,
call the
Mr.
next
Speaker.
bill on the special order calendar.
On page 66 of the calendar, House Bill number 269 with substitute by Representative Colvin relating to taxation.
Chair recognizes Representative Colvin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, under existing law, the sales and lease of aircraft and replacement parts by air carriers are exempt from sales, use, and lease taxes under certain conditions. This bill would remove the condition that the air carrier have a hub operation in this state. Mr. Speaker, I move the BIR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 99 yeas, 0 nays. The BR is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, we do have a committee sub. What the sub does, 3 main points. It tightens the definition of the aircraft that's eligible for the exemption. It makes it to where only the state's portion is exempt. The counties and cities would have to opt in, being consistent with our committee this year, and it establishes a 5-year sunset. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move the sub be adopted.
Question for the body's adoption of the sub. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, no nays. The substitute is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, move final passage as substituted.
Question for the body's final passage of HB 269 is substituted. Clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, no nays. HB 269 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Clerk will call the next bill on the special order calendar.
On page 57 of the calendar, House Bill number 479 with substitute by Representative Reynolds relating to supplemental appropriations.
Chair recognizes Representative Reynolds and Madison.
Thank you, Chair. Members, you heard me say last Tuesday when we filed the statewide plan for the investment and use of opioid settlement funds that we dropped an appropriation bill for the first $30 million that would be recommended by the commission. You remember in 2023, this body allocated the first $10 million. And so today we're back with it with a $30 million appropriation, and the expenditures are as follows. Department of Corrections, $1 million. Pardons and paroles, $5.490 million. Mental health, $20,510,000. Auburn College of Pharmacy, $1 million. UAB, residency of psychiatry, also one for the Montgomery emergency room here in Montgomery, $1 million. And then public health, naloxone for the distribution of state and local agencies and entities, and that's for both state and local agencies. Back to the mental health piece, just a little more detail. We have $3 million for the 988 crisis line, and then we've also got a veterans pilot program for $3 million. And with that, Chair, I'll call for the BIR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 103 yeas, no nays. The BIR is adopted.
there's not any questions, I call for final passage.
Well, we have a question for the body's adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, no nays. The substitute is adopted.
And call for final passage.
Question for the body's final passage of HB 479 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 103 yeas, no nays. HB 479 is substituted. Passes.
Thank you,
Clerk will call
Chair.
the next
Thank you,
bill in the
members.
special order calendar.
On page 65 of the calendar, House Bill number 441 by Representative Garrett relating to initiatives.
Chair recognizes Representative Garrett of Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, the game plan package consisted of economic development incentives. Many of these reference the new market tax credit. The federal government has changed the definition of the new market tax credit, and that excluded some of the projects that we want to be included in the game plan. So what this bill would do would allow the definition of new market tax credit to remain as it was before the federal change. With that, I move the BIR.
The chair recognizes Representative Moore of Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I understand what your bill is doing. I guess I'm trying to use this opportunity to see what type of feedback did we get from the bill last year? What were we able to accomplish with it?
Well, I think that, it's early on, so I think we're still collecting data, but I think it's been positive. I think it was positive. This particular bill, I know there's 3 properties, 2 in Birmingham and a tract of property in Montgomery that would not qualify going forward if we didn't change this definition.
Okay.
In Birmingham, it would include the 4th Avenue Historic Civil Rights Business District, the Switch District, Innovation Depot, and the southwest section of UAB tract, which was part of UAB's campus. And in Montgomery, it was downtown Montgomery area that would include RSA Tower, the City Hall, Convention Center, Riverwalk, and Lab on Dexter. So the new market tax credit is defined by census tracts, and the federal government just changed those census tracts in their federal definition. We do not want to change it in the state definition.
So that'll help these projects here be able to continue.
Continue, that's right.
Because we keeping the definition
Right.
that was used in the bill last.
Otherwise, they would not be included.
Okay, I'm glad to know that we have some projects that's going on.
Right.
And I guess in maybe another year or so, we could get some report to get feedback to see how well the program is going in the first place.
Right.
I thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 98 yeas, no nays. The BIR is adopted.
Move for final passage.
Question for the body's final passage of HB 441. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Well, somebody, I think, clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 102 yeas, no nays. The HB 441 receives final passage. Clerk will call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 76 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 281 by Senator Melson relating to financial institutions.
Chair recognizes Representative Stringer of Mobile.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. This SB 281 is a companion bill to HB 389, which I carry down here. This is going to prohibit credit card companies from tracking or identifying ammunition or gun sales through the MCC codes. We've done a lot of work on it to try to make it better. There was a floor sub that was engrossed upstairs that basically it just takes the local banks and the banks that we were hearing from out of the definition of financial institutions. And with that, I would ask for the BR.
Chair recognizes Representative Hall of Madison.
Thank you. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying the attempt is to prevent credit card companies
Yes, ma'am.
from,
Basically, these MCC codes are used by credit card companies to, it's mainly used like in tracking where people are purchasing, like from Walmart or different stores. And they have different codes for like different stores, different products, like sporting goods, food
stop right there. When
Yes.
you say MCC code,
Yes, ma'am.
what is that?
It is a merchant, hold on, I've got the definition here.
Like merchant credit cards or something like that?
It's the merchant code. Hold on, let me see what the,
And I'll tell you why you're looking for that, why I'm interested. I tried a couple of years ago to prevent the sale of names by different agencies. And I can't believe the people didn't come out the woodworks for you on this, if I'm understanding. And I was amazed at, I'm talking about state agencies that were opposed to that bill by saying that the bill would prevent them from being able to sell information to somebody that might have been from the courts, even the courts. So I find it interesting that this bill is able to get to this point. So you're saying a financial institution or a credit card owner who purchases a gun with a credit card, you're asking that they are prohibited, the credit card is prohibited from selling that information to who or what?
no, ma'am. This is going to prohibit the actual credit card companies that issue these cards and issue the MCC codes. It's going to prohibit them from, like, Andrews Hardware in my district. They sell everything under the sun, but they also sell firearms.
Okay, so we didn't ever, so the MCC code is something that is sold by the credit card company.
The MCC codes are assigned
when a person purchases a gun.
Yes, ma'am.
With the credit card.
Like right now, if you were to go in and purchase a firearm from, just say Walmart, it would be like a consumable goods code instead of an MCC code that addresses firearms.
So Walmart would give you a consumer good code.
No, the codes are put into the swiping devices that the cards are used through. This would just prohibit that information from targeting like firearms and tracking that information.
So you don't want it to target firearms. Are there other items?
Yes, it's firearms and ammunition.
Firearms and ammunition that comes under the MCC code.
Yes, ma'am.
That is assigned to each item that is sold using a credit card.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we don't want to allow that to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
And why is that?
Well, there's really no need or reason for the credit card company to be tracking that type of information and keeping record of it.
No need.
No, ma'am.
Based on, is there, I'm just trying to see if there's no need, how it is that we have this problem. I'm sure there are two different things, two different issues. The concern that I had in terms of this agency selling your information, and you're saying that the credit card companies have no need for this information. How did we, can you tell me what would, and I'm asking because I'm not sure, I'm trying to determine why that would be, it's necessary for us to create a law for that.
To keep credit card companies from possessing or using that tracking system to keep up with lawful gun owners.
So the credit card companies, and do you know of any cases where that's been used? You are law enforcement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever utilized that service?
No, ma'am. No, actually, it's not being done. The credit card companies have suspended this for now, pending potential litigation.
What is the litigation presently?
They have stopped this due to the number of complaints they have received, and they are attempting to see what the states are going to do. This bill has passed in numerous states and is set to be signed by 2 other governors here in the near future.
Do you know who they are?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right, the bill has been passed in Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. And it's there's 2 states that are pending the governor's signature, which is Georgia and Tennessee.
And okay, but you're saying the credit card companies presently are not doing this.
They have suspended it for now.
Do you know what created that? The idea of them suspending their action?
Basically, from what I understand, it is due to they are waiting. They don't want to be wrapped up in any litigation or involvement in having to track guns or ammunition sales. And there's been several states that have brought legislation to address this, so they are waiting to see what the outcome is with these bills in state legislature.
Now, would the tracking information ever have been used in a particular case or federal case or anything like this? What triggered this action? Do you have any idea what triggered the action?
Well, I've had a bunch of, due to the attention that's been brought to it over the years, I've had a bunch of constituents ask me to consider sponsoring this. Actually, Representative Matt Butler brought it last year, and they didn't have time to work out all of the details to try to make it, to get it through in time. So we brought it back this year, and we've been working on it the whole session, trying to get all the vested and interested parties ready to where we could pass it.
And the vested and interested parties other than the credit card companies, who would be some of the other groups?
Like your local banks.
Banks?
Yeah, a lot of the local banks, we're kind of concerned because they do not actually issue the cards, produce the cards or issue them. They just hire these different vendors, basically vendors that handle their credit card. Credit card and debit card services.
Well, why don't we just make this inclusive? They don't track anything.
Do what now?
I said, why don't we make this all inclusive that they don't track anything? I had the experience of attending a workshop this past weekend, and I was amazed just from the use of a computer and having passwords. I mean, that just brought me back to that, and that how easy it is for someone to get your password, how long it would take you to get it. So the other part, as I said, my concern is that on the state level, many times there are things that are sold because of a need for whatever reason, and that there's always pushback. I'm going to bring that bill back, and I'm going to come to you because I'm going to follow your lead.
Yes.
You're telling me that the credit card companies are concerned, or you're concerned that to make sure, in such a way to make sure the credit card companies cannot use your information that indicated that you purchased a weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
And the ultimate goal is?
Just protecting our citizens
Is to
and their
protect the
constitutional
citizens.
right. Yes, ma'am.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sure, thanks, lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was sort of confused reading this bill because I can't understand why a person who purchased a weapon, a gun, using their credit card wouldn't want the credit card company to keep that information. And the reason I say that, suppose that person loses all of the information they got to say that that gun belongs to them, and some situation could happen, and they don't have any information to prove that that gun is theirs. And the only way they could prove it is that the credit card company, or if they purchase it with a credit card company, they could contact them and they would have proof that they purchased it. But if the credit card company no longer keeps that information, then that's just one bit of verification that that person would have that they're the rightful owner of that gun. If, say, they got stopped and they look to say, is this yours? Or, you know, whatever reason the law enforcement might have to ask them whether they own it, and they might not have any proof with them. But they can say, oh, I purchased this gun with my credit card. We could call my credit card company, they could give you the date and to the credit card companies to keep it.
Well, I've been in law enforcement for 32 years, and we've never, ever had a person use the credit card information to show me that they purchased a car, a trailer, four-wheeler, anything that I suspect may be stolen. Typically, whenever they do the paperwork, they have a bill of sale or whatever, and then when you purchase the firearm, you still have to do your next check through the ATF.
Okay.
And whenever you do that, then you have documents that show that you purchased that gun through the ATF NICS checks. So
Well, suppose you've lost those documents.
If you know, even then,
Or you could have had a flood and all your paperwork went away with the water, or a house fire, or something could have happened to be able to take all the paperwork and verification you have. Then in those cases, then the only verification you have is that you did purchase it with a credit card. And I think you mentioned banks or whatever, and you could go back and do their records and prove that it's yours. I think that's the part with us living in a day and age where people move, all sorts of things happen, where we don't have our verification papers through a storm or whatever. And I'm just saying that that's one mechanism. If something unforeseen, Mother Nature strike or accident happen, but you just don't have access to that paperwork to confirm that you own that weapon. And then the credit card would be a place, because you could say, well, I can call them and let them send me back the verification that I did purchase it with my credit card. I think that's my concern. It don't click why you wouldn't want that safety net as part of the places you could go if something unforeseen happened. Because I just noticed, I looked at the town that was completely destroyed by those tornadoes the other night. Those people don't have anything left, but if they had their weapon in their car, and for some reason the different states have different laws, somebody asks, is this yours? Or if the weather picked it up and dropped it somewhere, and you come across it or somebody come across it, and they were saying, okay, we found X number of weapons that might have been displaced because of the natural disaster that we had, you come and say, this one is mine. Well, what proof do you have to identify that? Well, all my paperwork is gone, but I do know that I purchased it with my credit card, and I can call my credit card company because it would have the information, and I could use that to confirm that I do own this one.
Yes, ma'am. And like I said, being in law enforcement, I've never, ever had anything like that before. Now, I have had where we've recovered a weapon and somebody said it was theirs, but they couldn't remember the serial numbers, but they knew where they purchased it, whether it be Andrews Hardware, whether it be Walmart, Academy, or somewhere like that. They're able to go to that store and they can pull a copy of the receipt there and just verify that the weapon is theirs.
But you see, those towns, they don't even have a Walmart or the general store. All of them, the whole town that they showed this week that were destroyed by tornadoes, it took everything away. So I'm just wondering, you know, if they really want to take this away with all of these storms we have and coming through that's wiping out the whole city and the place you, like you said, to the hardware that you would normally go to, but the hardware was destroyed also. But the only place that you can go would be if you purchased it through a bank, or if you through a credit card or something like that to find. But that was just my concern, to wonder. That is one avenue we would have. If all else failed, you still would have that avenue to verify that it's yours. Thank you for listening.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Chair thanks the lady. The question for the body now is the adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 96 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Stringer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. At the appropriate time, I'd ask for final passage.
That is the question, is final passage. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 85 ayes, 5 nays. SB 281 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 56 of the calendar, House Bill number 405 with substitute by Representative Clark relating to municipal housing authorities.
Representative Clark, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have companion bills, House Bill, of course, 405 and 406. You may be familiar with ARA, the Alabama Association of Housing and Redevelopment Authorities. It's the trade organization for our state's municipal and county housing authorities. Well, ARA came to me and asked for assistance with this. Our housing authorities need the legislature to grant them clear authority to enter into public and private partnerships. And actually, they are already doing this with strong encouragement from HUD, no less, with the ultimate goal being to reduce the enormous backlog of public housing repair costs without substantial new federal investment and while leveraging public dollars to a greater extent. You may be familiar with RAD, the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program. It was launched by HUD in 2012, and it enables public housing authorities to leverage public and private financing to reinvest in public housing developments. RAD adopts the mixed financing approach that HUD introduced for Hope 6, which is the predecessor program to the Choice Neighborhoods program, which encourages mixed public and private financing. This bill is very similar to the Airport Authority bill that this House has already passed to grant airport authorities the power to enter into public-private partnerships. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I move the BIR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Lauderdale, Representative Pettis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you for bringing this bill. I don't mean you've talked about this. My city is really supportive of this bill. They've already started doing this, and they found out technically they're not supposed to be doing it, so this bill will help them get them in compliance with the law. I want to thank you again for bringing this.
Representative Pettis, Chairman Pettis, thank you for your assistance with these bills,
Well,
too.
thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could you further explain how this public-private partnership, because I didn't like the airport bill, period. I thought that's a mistake that's going to come back and haunt us somewhere in the future if it's not monitored properly, and we end up having airports decide that they're going into some relationship. But explain to me with the public-private relationship of your bill, because is it going to allow, well, go ahead and explain it, because it sounds kind of fuzzy, and it sounds a lot like that airport bill.
Well, it's going to rectify something that's already being done by many housing authorities. For example, in Florence, like Representative Pettis mentioned, housing authorities are already partnering with that particular housing authority, like others. I think Opelika probably, I think even Montgomery have, where the public housing authorities have partnered with private developers, where private developers actually bring in their funding to partner, to build, to repair, and in some cases...
Public housing?
Yes.
And what is the benefit to these private companies that's coming in and invested in the repairing of public housing?
They enter into these partnerships whereby often the private developer ends up managing the property.
So they getting some return on investment?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And then could we project that somewhere along the line those private managers might take control of those public housing units?
So far, I do not think that has happened. I can't predict the future, Representative Moore.
And the reason I say that, because you know that pretty much happened with apartment complexes that are built using government funding, and after that, once those companies that borrow the money, once they've gotten the largest benefit financially from them, then they will go into partnership with private people to come in to help them with those units. But then eventually they sell them to them, sell them at a low price because they maximize all of the federal or state benefits they can get. Then they turn into slum places, because after they've maximized the return on investment, they don't put into those units after a certain number of years that they should. And our question is, that's a possibility, because historically, that's, even though they're doing it with the federal government, indirectly they were doing it with the federal government with new apartments and things you see in your neighborhood. Once they have maximized the amount of money that they have, then they'll go to a private company to bring in to help manage that company. Then over time, they'll even turn that piece of property over to them because they have maximized the monies that they can get out of it. Then they return a few in as far as maintenance, stop being done on those pieces of property till then it becomes an eyesore. Then you have all other activities that eventually will take place. And I think that's a bigger concern I have when you're talking about the government having a private relationship with the company and money. I could see on down the road when the government, because you know with the federal government at some point in time, they don't want to stay in this business of providing houses for people because they don't get a major return on investment. So I could see them working with these private places. But at the end of the day, I think that what we're going to see is something that we don't like. And that once they've gotten all they can get out of it, what we'll have is another slum area or area that's not maintained, that most often going to show up in our neighborhoods where we live. So I don't know all the details you got and what would be the comforting section of your bill, because I hadn't seen it, that would assure me that at all times that when it comes to maintaining these pieces of property, that they will properly be maintained, and we won't end up in a situation that when all the maximum return on investment tax credits and whatever else they've gotten, when they get through with that, then they stop making sure repair jobs are done on these facilities and people are living in less than human conditions. So I just worry about that, and I'm concerned because I don't see any guarantees throughout the bill that would say that the future will be taken care of as far as this relationship would go.
Representative Moore, I wish I had a crystal ball.
Well, they could have put it in the bill.
I wish I do.
They could have put in the bill on
Actually, the Board of Realtors had a similar concern. Yeah. And I was going to discuss this when we got to the substitute. Okay. But they actually asked that language be included in the bill to clarify that any eminent domain powers of housing authorities not be transferred to non-public.
But that's one good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that they don't use that eminent domain to do that. But then the other thing is that to make sure for the future, because even with the housing authorities, the housing authorities manage Section 8. And they let our people get these Section 8 houses that are just terrible to live in. Poor plumbing, poor everything in there that needs repair. And they sign off on them all the time. So I know how the housing authority can be negligent. It's just that, no, we don't have a crystal ball, but we know the history. And I think that, that's what I was saying this morning. When we go into with some of these bills we've got to do the research to see what history has told us about these situations. So in the bill, we could make some type of prevention that we don't have to experience what we have in the past with the pieces of property that they would have a relationship with. Appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, Representative Moore.
Chair thanks the lady. The question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machines and the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. The BIR has been adopted. Representative Clark.
So, Mr. Speaker and members, there is a substitute. Several organizations came to me with amendments. The realtors, as I explained a few minutes ago, wanted language that clarified that any eminent domain powers of housing authorities not be transferred to any non-governmental entities. The County Commissions Association requested language that states that only tax exemptions would be granted when local and county governing bodies approve those requests. Two contractor organizations had concerns that they had concerns that public housing authorities follow the bid laws when public funds are being used. When private funds are being used, the developers can do whatever they want, but when public funds are being used, the public housing authorities have to follow the bid laws. So those are the provisions that are included in the substitute.
Okay, you've heard the explanation of the sub. The question now is adoption of the sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. The committee sub has been adopted. Representative Clark.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 405 be adopted as substituted.
That is the question before the body. House Bill 405 being adopted as sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and member will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 405 has passed as sub.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members.
Clerk, call the next bill.
On page 67 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 128 with substitute by Senator Melson relating to the Public Health Department.
Mr. Chairman, before we get started, we've got a couple of guests I'd like to recognize. From Mobile, Alabama, Mary Shary, the wife of our own Mark Shary, and her mother, Kathy. Good to have you with us today. Also from Alex City, we have Kim Anderson. Her son Braden is paging this week for Ed Oliver and Chief Tuggle. Let's give them a big hand. Thank you for being with us today. Mr. Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill actually will abolish the State Board of Health and will change it to the membership to the State Committee of Public Health. There are several changes in this that will happen. This will take effect starting and will phase out starting in this year, but we'll start phasing out in 2027. Now, what this actually does, it puts 11 physicians on the board. It changes the type physician, or changes the amount of physicians to 11. Then there will be one main change. There will be one from each congressional district of the state and 4 at large, 2 of whom will serve a one-year term and 2 will serve a 2-year term. 1 physician appointed by the Alabama State Society of Anesthesiologists, and the chair of each of the 4 committees, one of the committees being the dental health, animal and welfare, prevention of disease, and then the administration and organization. I do have an amendment coming in just a few minutes once we pass a BIR, but right now I'd like to pass a BIR, please.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, I think this bill is pretty much, it's a good compromise bill from where I understand it came. But let me ask you, why is it necessary to change it from the Alabama Department of Public Health to the State Committee of Public Health?
Well, there's a reconfiguration of how it's being done with 1 per congressional district. I don't know how or why they landed on that name.
But it doesn't have, it's not the point to drive for the reconfiguration.
No.
It's just that's just something that came up.
It's just to clarify there was a change.
Okay.
And that way you know at that point when it changed, that's when the appointments started representing each congressional district.
Okay, because I
no
just
significance in the name that I'm aware of.
Okay, because I'm just looking at it, and I think let me see. What you got a substitute?
I got one amendment. One amendment.
Okay, and just reading it and the bill, I think that from what I understand, where it started from.
Yes.
That's just an excellent compromise.
Well, thank you. It's been 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
And the first 2 years there was no movement. And then this year we've been able to get this on the table, and everyone's in agreement with it. So
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes a gentleman from Colbert, Representative Underwood.
Well, thank you for your work on this bill. I know you do good work. You do a lot of good work in the Health Committee, and I just wanted to say that thank you for it, and looking forward to getting it passed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've got a great committee. Thank you.
Sure, that you do.
Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
She's bringing an amendment. She wants.
The chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Gavan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Lee.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what the changes are.
One is the name, and then it changes the appointment process of who they are and where they're from. They will be appointed 1 from each congressional district. Many of the other appointments are the same.
So what about the department head who heads the department?
Okay, Good question. What this will do, and we have an amendment coming, basically this group will do the recruitment and hiring of the Department of Public Health, this particular group here. And in this bill, prior to the amendment, it allows for one of the Speaker, the Senate Pro Tem, the Governor, or the Lieutenant Governor. It only takes one of those to start a process of dismissing, I guess, or some kind of termination process. But we're changing that with the amendment. It will be take the majority of those four for their process to be started.
Okay, so who does the
department, the public health director?
Who does the director report directly to?
This board.
So he or she will report to the board.
Yes.
Who do they report to now?
This board, but this board is changing.
Okay, so they already the director of health already reports to the board.
Yes.
So they will still report to the board.
Yes.
However, for any type of removal of that particular director, it will take a majority vote of the
four.
Of the four.
Yes.
Okay. And how is that person removed now?
By the board. Board. The four you're talking about is the governor, Lieutenant Governor, Speaker Pro Tem, or Senate Pro Tem.
What about the Speaker of the House?
I'm sorry, I thought I said. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Speaker of the House, and then the Senate Pro Tem.
Okay. Okay.
So it takes three of those four to come to agreement to pursue any type.
Or is it the majority that's present at the meeting? Because you have more than.
No, it's
so it would have to be a 3-1.
It has. That's right. It names them.
But 3-1, 2-1 could be a majority.
No, it has to be three of the four.
So that language. So it does say 3 of the 4 in the bill.
Well, let's. No, it doesn't. But when the amendment comes, I think it will clarify it.
Okay, so there will be an amendment that will clarify.
Because in this, it only took one.
Okay.
I felt, and many felt, that it should be a majority. Because someone could have a.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I've worked well with our Department of Public Health. I thought they did an excellent job bringing us through the unknown with regards to COVID. The director was spot on each time. I know there are some political, philosophical differences. But I just wanted to get the clarity because I know there has been a lot of work, and you do have a very excellent, one of the best committees here, I think, in the House of Representatives. I think you've been a very fair chairman. Certainly to me you have. Even when we came in, I think in 2010 together. I think you came in 2010.
Did.
And so never had a problem. So, okay, I just wanted to get the clarity since there has been so much debate relative to this. Again, I hold the current director in the highest and utmost of regard, and I just would definitely not want to do anything to him or anyone that would be, arbitrary and capricious in nature as we move about with this piece of legislation.
I think we're fortunate. The average in the United States for the public health director is about 2.5, 3 years.
Oh, yes.
And it's very low. And inconsistency is not a good thing in this.
Oh, no. And I agree wholeheartedly with you. And again, I applaud you all's efforts in trying to move this process along.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sure, thanks, lady. Representative Hall, you got an amendment, don't you? That's what you're waiting. Okay. Question for the body now is the adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 98 ayes, 0 nays. The BR has been adopted. Chairman Lee.
I move for, Mr. Speaker, I have a friendly amendment coming.
Okay. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
I believe I need to adopt the committee sub first. I believe I need to adopt the committee sub first.
I see it now. You want to explain your committee sub, please?
Well, the committee sub is exactly what I just spoke about.
Okay. So you've heard the explanation of the committee sub. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 ayes, 0 nays. Committee sub has been adopted. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I believe we have a friendly amendment, floor amendment coming.
Okay. Chair recognizes the lady from Madison, Representative Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, Mr. Speaker. So the amendment will make sure that on page lines 87 and 88, the Association of the State of Alabama from its minority positions section. And the purpose for this is to make sure that we would be inclusive of having a minority individual serving. And I will tell you that this past weekend, over the weekend, in talking to other doctors, that we must also compliment the Medical Association for Alabama, because they do have in place to ensure that there's representation based on what they consider important and the needs of citizens in the state of Alabama. So I want to commend them for the work and commend you and others that helped to get us to this point.
And I think that just happened in the last 30 days, 40 days, how they've gotten that started. So that's
that minority
good.
yes, but it's and in talking to the medical professions, African Americans who are doctors within the organizations.
You know, there's one thing, when I go to the doctor and I need help, I don't care what color they are, nor do I care what party they're a part of. I want them to be the best care that I can get.
It depends sometimes, but sometimes I just want somebody that might understand. But I agree with you.
I want to understand
them. Yeah, I want them to understand me, and might be able to empathize with me in terms of where I am. But with that, Mr. Speaker, this is the amendment.
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 128 by Representative Hall.
Ms. Hall, explain your amendment, please.
Again?
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, I'm sorry. I did have it. And then the other one, we had all members are eligible for reappointment. They're going to serve for a term of 3 years. And then the appointing authority also would make the appointments to make sure that the membership of each one of this committee is inclusive as well.
Okay.
With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt the amendment.
Okay, you've heard the explanation of the amendment. If you support the amendment, your vote will be aye. If not, your vote will be no. Clerk will unlock machines and the amendments will vote.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. This is I support this bill, amendment.
Clerk will lock machine, record the amendment. 102 ayes, 0 nays. The floor amendment has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank the lady.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Chairman Lee.
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage as substituted and amended.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lauderdale, Representative Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this bill. This was one of the main issues, among other COVID issues, one of the reasons that I ran for this office. And I appreciate you taking this up and bringing it to the floor. The problem is that the State Board of Health is currently the MASA Board of Censors, and it's really a private entity that is not accountable to the people of Alabama or their representatives, even the governor, as we found out during COVID. So this addresses it. The bill attempts to address the current lack of accountability, and it has several good elements in it. For example, on line 163, the governor shall appoint the state health officer. That's the primary thing of this bill. And Alabama is currently the only state whose state health officer is not appointed by the governor. So she'll be appointing the state health officer. Line 187, the state health officer actions are subject to the confirmation or modification by the committee. Okay, so that's internal. That's good. That's a good check. Line 189, the governor, lieutenant governor, and you've already mentioned this, if a majority of those 4 people want to censor or want to review the actions of the state health officer, they have the ability to do that and to discipline as if needed. In line 224, this is very important. Emergency rules and directives must be approved by the governor because we need someone who is accountable to the people. He has to own these decisions that really affect our economy and the people's health. That's all good, however, but I think there's another way to make it better. There are 2 ways that I see to increase accountability. And one is just this method, where she makes the governor appoint the state health officer. The other is to make the committee itself accountable to the elected officials. And in my view, that's the safest route is to do both of them. And that's what my attempt to do is. And so, Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment.
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 128 by Representative Harrison.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation of the amendment. Mr. Sponsor, how do you view this amendment?
Mr. Speaker, I do not see this as a friendly amendment. I think it's very important in my eyes and those of us, many of us, and those that are involved. I want to make sure that there are well-qualified people that know the right questions to ask when there's interviewing being done. I like the idea of those that are chosen as the best in the state to choose the best. And I think, according to what you said, I'm batting 800.
Yeah.
I'm batting 800 on the bill. So, Mr. Speaker, I choose to lay this on the table.
Good.
I'm sorry, I thought the gentleman explained the amendment. He says he hadn't. You got some explanation further?
Yes.
Okay.
What this amendment does, it takes it keeps the 4 council appointments the same, and the other 11 physicians and 1 at-large member who is not a physician, 4 of which shall be appointed by the governor, and 4 appointed by the lieutenant governor, and 4 shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Now, obviously, they will be taking recommendations from MASA and those doctors that are outside of MASA. And then it keeps those chair of the 4 councils. And then down here, the appointing authorities described in the subdivision above shall coordinate their appointments to assure all the following medical specialties are represented by physicians certified in the respective area of practice. One is anesthesiology, the second one is obstetrics, gynecology, pediatrics, family medicine, internal medicine, radiology, psychiatry, infectious disease, general surgery, cardiology, and then 1 physician shall be a doctor of osteopath. He's be an osteopath who practices in any of the medical specialties. And so that's essentially it. It just has those specialties of the 12, and then those 4 be appointed by the Speaker, 4 by the Governor, 4 by the Lieutenant Governor.
Right. And I believe almost, if not all of them, almost every one of those have representation of those 4 committees that we spoke about earlier. So each one of those have the opportunity to be on this board just through a different route.
Right.
So, Mr. Speaker, I move to lay this on the table.
Okay, you've heard the gentleman's explanation. The sponsor wishes to lay it on the table. If you vote to lay it on the table, your vote will be aye. If not, your vote will be no. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote.
Aye.
Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 95 ayes, 3 nays. The amendment has been laid upon the table.
Mr. Speaker, I move final passage.
That is the question, is final passage of SB 128. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote, 100 ayes, 0 nays. SB 128 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the body.
Thank the gentleman. Good work. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Pro Tem Pringle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I move the House stand in recess for 1 hour. 1 hour, and I ask the members to stay in the building so we can caucus.
Yeah, you have to stay in the building. We cannot leave the building. And I think the message has been sent out for each caucus to meet for their caucus at this time. So with that, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? We are in recess.